Welcome back to the FlairBar.com show. As you know, you probably already noticed we got one of our old dear friends, Mr. Bobby G. Bobby, how you doing?
Always a pleasure to be here, my friend.
Dude, you are amazing. Ever since we first met you, way back in the day from when you used to write with FlairBar.com, so you took me out to, what was it, Red Rock Mountain, we had sushi. You've always been a great soul, and I just want to say thank you for that.
My pleasure. You know, you got it. You're surrounded by good people, good things happen, you know?
Yep, and you are with Beam Global, and you're pretty much the whiskey man, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you know, Beam is whiskey, you know, and that's one of the things I really love about our company. Not only do we have other great spirits as well. I mean, our Canadian whiskeys, our Scotch whiskeys, our cognacs, our rums. You know, Cruisin' Rum is just one of the best rums out there in the market. I love to have that ability to be able to work with these great products all the time. But you know, I do have to give a little nod to my favorite, and that's the bourbon.
Yeah, and Beam Global is huge. Like you said, you got a great portfolio, a little bit of everything. But bringing it back to whiskey, you just wrote an article for FlairBar.com on the Manhattan. If you can let our viewers know, in your opinion, what makes a great Manhattan?
Well, it's all about the balance. You know, every cocktail is about the balance. And today what we really see bartenders focusing on, again, which is a great thing that's happened, is, you know, the technique, the stirring, the proper use of the ice. And now you're seeing so many different vermouths and amaros coming into play. And really, what was the original Manhattan made from? Was it bourbon? Was it rye? Or was it Canadian whiskey? No one, you know, I can't answer that. I wasn't there.
We weren't around.
But we're seeing so many great whiskeys coming into play, and now I've been working, you know, using two different vermouths, or a vermouth and another accent flavor in with that, and just bringing a new element to it, and bringing that excitement to the guests, because that's, you know, ultimately that where it's going, is, you know, going to your guests. And if they have that ability to taste something new, that will open up their eyes, and that's what it's all about, you know.
And to find out more about your great products, I believe the website is beamglobal.com.
Yeah, it's one of our websites. You know, all of our brands have their own websites as well. Beam Global will take you to one central location. You can see all of that. And, of course, we're big on education. And our virtualspirit.org is a great place for anybody to go and get the basics of not just our brands, but also about the categories of the spirits. And that's important. What makes bourbon bourbon? Mm-hmm. What makes vodka vodka? You know, and these are questions that, you know, a lot of people, they think they know, but, you know, it's a great place to, as a resource, to go and get all those things.
And if I'm not mistaken, all that information is free, right?
It
on
is.
virtualspirits.org?
Yeah, virtualspirits.org is free. Within the industry, with our distributor partners, you know, we have things like that with our partnership with the United States Bartenders Guild. We're trying to get that back in, you know, available. We have a new platform. We have a platform called Connect that we use with our distributor partners, and it's a one-shop deal where you can go in. We have a cocktail database now. I've got over 3,000 recipes on there. It's very searchable, and most of them are. Some are using brand specific. Others are using, you know, just generic labels. And we work with our mixologists from, you know, Southern Wine and Spirits and Glaziers and all of our distributor partners. They have the ability to come in and place recipes on there as well. But that recipe will always follow them. So if you want to join us, toss on a couple of recipes.
We'd love to.
I'm more than happy to have you.
Awesome. Now, you brought up USBG, and I got to ask, two-part question. A, how long have you been a member, and what is your status now with USBG?
We started, well, the United States Bartenders Guild was such a powerhouse back in the day. It started in the 1950s, and we were actually a satellite chapter of the United Kingdom before we became our own official chapter, United States Bartenders Guild. It was big. And it was so big, if you remember the decanters that Jim Beam used to make, 1973 they made one for the United States Bartenders Guild. Nice. And if you want to get out there and search that, you see that beautiful red jacket. You know, I'm very proud of
I remember that, yeah.
It has the red jacket, the red, white, and blue tie, and it looks a lot like Fred Ireton. And we always say we call it the Fred, but it's not. And we see, you know, he's got his, you know, and the big medallion there with the USBG on it. And, then it started to fade away, and it was down to one chapter left in Southern California. And when Tony Abuganum and everyone was in Las Vegas, it was Livio Laro who came over from California and said, why is there not a chapter here? And he really spearheaded and pushed for that to get started. Then there was two, and then it became three with San Francisco. And now today we're close to 60 chapters, over 3,000 members, stretching across 35 different states, and growing.
It's huge, yeah. It seems like over the last couple of years, I've only been lucky enough to know about the USBG and or take an active part of it in a few short years. But in those few short years, like you said, it just every year it's just more and more grow, and the education, the masses, the interest is there. And it's almost cool to see that bartenders are kind of dropping their egos and saying, you know, it's not about me, it's about us now.
Right. Yeah, I proudly serve today as a national ambassador for the United States Bartenders Guild. A couple of years ago, they honored me with a lifetime membership.
Nice.
And it's fantastic for me to go, and I get these requests when I go into a different market, you know, and I'm working with our distributor partners, and I want to tell them, you know, who's our local salesman. I need somebody to connect with the USBG. Let's see if we can get them. They're always invited to any event I do anywhere in the country. They're always invited.
Oh, well, you heard that first. Bobby G's giving you an open invite. Now, some big news, like probably the biggest news I've heard in a while for Beam Global recently, beginning of the year. Beam Global and Suntory. Can you tell us what happened with that and where that sits now?
Yeah, well, you know, a couple years ago, the Fortune Brands family decided to separate the home and hardware and the sports division from the spirits division. We made a standalone company. And with that standalone company, we were available on the stock exchange. So we were stock held. We were reporting to our stockholders. And you know, if you're on the stock market, someone can come by and buy you at any time. And that's what happened. It kind of came out of nowhere and shocked the entire industry because everyone had assumed, you know, Diageo wanted Beam for its bourbons. You know, but then they knew that they would have to split up that company. You know, where are these brands going to go? And while they were figuring all that out, Suntory from Japan, Suntory Holdings, they just said, okay, they made a deal, and we were told by our CEO, Matt Shattuck, that this deal was basically done in 6 days.
Wow.
And it was, and nobody knew about it.
So
and
someone offered a lot of money, basically.
They came and bought the entire company, which for us was just a blessing. Because now, not only do we stay together as a whole family, our family just got bigger.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And when you talk about the new whiskeys that we're bringing on board, I mean, Beam already was the leader of whiskey in the world. You know, we have over 160 different whiskeys worldwide, over 60 different bourbons. You know, when we first started making bourbon, George Washington was president of the United States. So we've been around. And now we add to that the power of Bowmore, Auchentoshan, you know, and Glengarry, if you get a chance at that very hidden gem of the single malt scotches that are there. And then on top of that, the Japanese whiskeys.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what's the Japanese whiskey like? I know Yamazaki, Hibiki, I believe is yours as well. And those are some great products, but people in America might have a stigma of Japanese whiskey. Well, how do they know how to make whiskey? But what are your thoughts on Japanese whiskey?
We're learning more about it every day. I haven't had a chance to go there and really, you know, dive right into it. But, you know, Gardner Dunn and Naya White are the ambassadors of Suntory, and they have joined our team. And so we're learning from them all the time. And it's fascinating, the business. It started with Shinjiro Tori, and you know, back at the time, at the the turn of the 1900s, you know, right around that era, the Japanese were very withdrawn, and they didn't want any influence from the outside world. And then all of a sudden, they started to realize, wow, we need to find out what's going on. So their interest went to Scotland, and they went to that style of whiskey. And in 1923, when they were making their first whiskey, I mean, basically what they tried to do was copy Dewar's, because that was the biggest whiskey in the world at the time. And it failed miserably. And when the master tasters were there tasting, going through the things, he said, I don't understand, it tastes just like Scotch. And Mr. Torrey said, there's your problem. It tastes like Scotch. We want it to be Japanese. So they created a whole new style of whiskey. And if you know, with the Scotch industry, it's the blends that drive the market. I mean, everyone talks about the small, the single, and all those single malts today that are very, very popular are still a small number of the entire market, portfolio. But in Scotland, they have all those single malts to choose from and blend with. In Japan, they don't. So they basically started to create their own whiskeys, and they're using 6 different style pot stills, 5 different types of wood. The grain they're bringing in from Scotland, they're using both malted and unmalted barley, and they're creating over 100 different styles of whiskey just at Yamazaki. Hakushu is making another 60 different styles of whiskey. Wow. And then they have another, the Hibiki, which is the blend, and then we have another one that they make the neutral spirit at. And they're all unique, and they're all delicious. And Naya and Gardner, they brought over with us samples of each one, because you're using 2 different types of American wood, some Spanish oak, and then some Japanese oak, which is very, very rare, very expensive. If they could put a price on it, from what I understand, when they're asked how much is the barrel, they said, well, you know, there's only one forest that it comes from, and it's owned, you know, it's a preserve, so there's money has to go to the universities, and the universities will go and help them select the woods that they can get, and so there's so it's really hard to put a price on how much it is, but I mean, let's just say it's significantly more than what we're paying.
All this talk about whiskey, I'm getting thirsty. Bobby, we got to go to a break. When we come back, can you please make me a cocktail with whiskey?
Yeah, I got something special for you.
Awesome. We'll be back with the Flairbar.com show right after this.